Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from the Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I would like to introduce the panel member today. My name is Ian Mann. I will be the chair. To my left is Mike Colatruglio, and joining us on Zoom is Ms. Lynn Nesbitt. Our assessment department personnel today, the assessor is Drew Thiessen, and the administrative personnel is Zachary Mohan. For the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have each been described in the application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decision with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize should they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant will leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all the applications have been heard. The board will deliberate in private and make its decision. Soon after, you will receive the board's decision by registered mail. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 4 and 5, 8, and 10 and 11 on our docket today. Mr. Mohan, will you please affirm the assessors and the first applicant's testimony?
Of course, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Drew Thiessen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please stand. Sorry, Mr. Penner first. Sorry, Mr. Penner, my bad. Please state your full name.
Matthew Penner.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Cheers.
Thank you. Mr. Thiessen, number 4 on the list is an application for revision of a supplementary assessment. If you could present your evidence with respect to that matter, please.
Yes, absolutely. I just want to make sure this is for the 2025 year, right? And then we're doing the 2024 one afterwards.
I think the 2024 one is the one that is appearing at number 4 on the list. It might make more sense to do them in chronological order, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the subject property is located at 421 Cambridge Street, roll number 120-417-86000. It's located in the North River Heights neighborhood. I will note this is an appeal for the 2024 assessment, so it is based on an April 1st of 2021 market value. The build type is a 2-story single-family dwelling built in 1940 with a living area of 1767 square feet. It has a full basement that is finished. It has 1 full bathroom, 3 half bathrooms, and 1 shower. Has central air, no fireplaces, has a detached single-car garage, and the lot size is 4810 square feet. It does have medium traffic influence being located on Cambridge. The comparables are located also in the North River Heights neighborhood. They are all two-story build, single-family dwellings built between 1923 to 1952, having living areas of 1553 square feet to 1968 square feet. Comp 3 is the only property that has a slightly different basement type, having the full part area, which would typically mean that there might be some sort of an addition or something that has crawl space beneath it rather than having the full basement beneath. They all do have finished basements. The bathroom counts do vary slightly between all of the comparables. Comps 1, 3, and 4 do not have central air conditioning. Comps 1, 3, and 4 do have fireplaces, and comp 3 actually has 2 of them. Comp 4 has a attached single car garage, whereas all the other 3 have attached multi-car garages. The lot sizes range between 4320 square feet to 7340 square feet. Comp 2 and 3 both have the medium traffic influence, as does the subject. Comp 2 is based on being at the corner of Academy and Oxford. So it's for Academy Road. And then Comp 2 also has the external corner, as I just mentioned, as well as being a bus route on Academy. The time adjusted sale prices range between 452,700 to 537,700, and the time adjusted sale prices per square foot range between 264.10 per square foot to 324.66 per square foot. Now, the supplementary notices that were sent out resulted as a result of the changes that were made to the subject property's record based on a review of their MLS listing from their post-reference sale in September of 2023. So a detached deck was added, interior condition was updated to average from fair, as there is nothing shown in the listing to suggest it is anything lower than average for its age. And there was an increase to the effective age to reflect some upgrades over time. The most significant of those would be the kitchen and bathrooms, which all we know for sure would have been done sometime after 2008, based on comparing the current listing to the 2008 MLS listing that showed the differences between those. And then there was also an electrical upgrade that was done in 2018 with permits. And this had the knob and tube removed and a new 200 amp panel installed. The only work that was done with permits was the electrical. I can't speak with any authority on whether the other renovations would have required or not required permits, but there was no permits for any other work done. All of this work was done prior to the 2023 sale, and it resulted in those supplementary notices, as I mentioned. So the current assessed value is 476,000 or 269.38 per square foot, and I believe that value is supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Penner, have you any questions of Mr. Thiessen?
Sorry, bear with me for
Sure, certainly.
Just looking at my notes here. I don't think I have my own I guess evidence. Is there, I guess my question would be, so I'm looking at the information provided by the assessor. A lot of the properties that were provided were significantly before the reference date. Is there a reason that that would have been done instead of, say, properties much closer to the reference date to give a perhaps more accurate representation of the time adjusted sale price as of the reference date?
Yeah, so I was specifically looking for homes that were in similar condition and were similar to the subject.
I don't think I have any other questions at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Colville. Any questions for Mr. Thiessen?
Yes, I think I'll ask the assessor about the comps. just alluded on by Mr. Penner, these are the most recent sales for similar houses that you were trying to find comps for the subject, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. Were you
So
asking?
when you picked out these comps,
Yeah.
these sales, these are the best ones or the most current ones for this type of a house in the area, is that correct?
Not for necessarily this type of house. There's other 2 stories that did sell more recently. But in terms of the overall condition and everything related to the house in terms of size and everything else, these are what I felt would be the most representative of the subject.
Fair enough, thank you.
Anything else?
No, I think that does it.
Ms. Nesbitt, any questions?
Yeah, just following up on that last question, you mentioned that in terms of overall condition, these were probably the best comps you could find. So have you been inside or have you inspected, first of all, the subject property?
No to either of those questions. I've gone through the MLS listings of the subject as well as the comparables. So that is my knowledge of these properties.
Okay, so your review is based on just a look at the MLS listings, seeing what type of upgrades, pictures, that sort of thing?
Correct, yes.
Okay. I guess my other question relates to when do you propose that this supplementary assessment gets applied?
So it already has been. It was
As
done
of-
effective January 1st of 2024.
Okay, effective January 1st. Okay, that was my question. Thank you very much.
I have one.
I have no,
Oh,
I
sorry,
have
go
no
ahead.
further questions. No further
Yeah.
questions.
Thank you, Ms. Nesbitt. I have a question with respect to the timing of the supplemental. You indicated in the course of your testimony that there was an upgrade from below average to average condition, Mr. Thiessen. Is that what prompted the supplemental assessment?
So it was related to all of the things that were done. So the detached deck being added, the interior condition changed from fair to average, as well as the effective age being increased for the upgrades being done.
Okay, and prior to the review, I guess for want of a better word, the effective age or the effective year built, was that still 1940 and it was upgraded to 1960 for the effective year built, or can you?
I don't recall if there was any effective age on it previously or if it was completely redone by myself. I did do the work on this property. I just don't recall whether I did the full effective age or if it was adding some on to something that already existed.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything further. Mr. Penner, your evidence, please.
Thank you. I'll go briefly through my application and recognizing some of this may be duplicative, but as terms of, I know I'm up next as well. Just as some quick background, we had received our initial, I believe the term was preliminary assessment back a number of months ago for 2025. Indicating my 2025 assessment would be $362,000. And then on June 7th, I received 2 envelopes with 3 letters in them, one of which was just taped shut. It included a 2025 assessment indicating $360,000, the value I had expected, a 2024 reassessment indicating a change from $327,000 to $476,000 due to interior alterations, and then a 2025 reassessment indicating a change from $362,000 to $529,000. As noted already, I purchased the property in September, and I did reach out to the city to inquire about coming to an agreement, just due to the fact that that's it, overall in 2024, a more approximately 40% increase. I think at this time, our assessor here has given some information as to, in particular, I was told that the overall quality of the property had been changed pending the review of the MLS sales. As noted, there is only the one building permit. I'm not aware of any non-permitted work. And obviously it's, as I've recently bought the house, I wouldn't have any information on if there was something that was done. And further, I know there's already been some mention, but I do particularly one of both the issue with the value of the assessment, but also the timing. And I apologize, as I should have brought this up in my question, but the effective date realistically was set back to January 1st of 2024. But I think they're given the sort of order of operations in which I received the letters, and the fact that a supplementary tax bill is not eligible for the school tax credit. So although it was applied dating back to January 1st, because it was received later, the value of that being approximately $500, given I would have received 50% of approximately 50% of my tax bill at that time. So not only is it a single year pretty significant increase, of which I'm not eligible for the rebate that I otherwise would have been, but further, I then had to file 2 appeals because it was both backdating my assessment for 2024 and for 2025. So in terms of sort of more specific evidence here, obviously 2024 being the most significant increase there. I think the evidence, you'll see the comparables that I shared, which I did both review the City of Winnipeg data and actually in terms when I was going through the process of trying to come to an agreement, the city had supplied some information to me. The files that I've given there, comps 1 through 4, are all files that are significantly closer to, they were sales that were done significantly closer to the reference date. Obviously, COVID and the market was, I think, there's probably a general acknowledgement that a competitive market significantly impacted the prices that people may have been paying. So I think the values there with, and I'll go through them one at a time. Number 1, 407 Oxford, time adjusted sale price, 468,000. Number 2, 395 Forebank, time adjusted sale price, 424.4. 348 Niagara, 433,000. 495 Niagara, 460,000. As well, these properties, again, which were ones that the City of Winnipeg had supplied me, did not have the medium traffic influence on the property that mine does. And again, further, I think that, you know, some of the evidence provided by the assessor, I think, indicates properties that were sold prior to COVID and the dramatic market influences that would have happened at that time. And, you know, I understand, obviously, as noted, and I think both previously and in the evidence that I had shared, you know, there was only the single building permit for the electrical work. I understand that there's alterations that may have been made in the 15 plus years from when the property may have been sort of fulsomely reassessed. I think to make those decisions based on photos that are done to, not to say I don't love my home, but photos done by a realtor where, you know, things are done in a particular way for the sake of the pictures. I'm not sure that a 40% increase in a particular year, that there's evidence to support that, just based solely on the photos that might have been provided and the change in quality of the home. You know, I felt like what I'd proposed was that a value of something probably closer to 430,000 for the 2024 year, as well as changing the effective date to be June 7th, the day that I received the changes in the supplementary taxes, would probably be a fair outcome here, particularly given the fact that because of when I received this, I was not eligible for that effectively $500-600 that I otherwise would have been. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Have you any questions of Mr. Penner?
I do. So just touching on your last point, there was some correspondence between you and the department previously, and they did specify to you about Section 341 of the City of Winnipeg Charter that deals with supplementary taxes and when they could be administered. Is that correct?
I had asked that question. What I was told was that they do not negotiate when the effective date is in place, which admittedly I'm not sure that, while I understand they may not want to negotiate it, I think that if the idea is the property changes have occurred, that date is sort of arbitrary, given the fact that it wasn't as if there was some previously unassessed significant improvement. Again, further reinforced by the fact that there is no building permit on file. I think we've acknowledged that there hasn't been a, new garage added onto the home. And so in that case, that date, I would like to think is something that could be changed to further reflect the fact that if I had just received this supplementary tax bill a month prior to actually just receiving my full tax bill, I wouldn't be in this situation pending what would have been school tax credit.
Okay. And the comps in your brief are all quite a bit smaller in size, correct?
That's fair. They are slightly smaller, yes.
And the time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges between 277.75 to 344.34.
Yes, I think that's accurate.
Okay. And then the current assessed value is 476,000, which is 269.38 per square foot, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so in considering your offer to purchase post-reference, did you take into consideration the levels of upgrades that were done to the property? Which is to say, if those upgrades had not been there, would you have still offered the same amount in your offer?
As far as I understand, both the rules of this hearing and the multiple timelines here, I'm not sure that what I paid for the property what's arguably 2.5 to 3 years after the date we are talking about is relevant.
I'm not asking about the price. I'm just asking, had those upgrades not been there, would you have offered the same price or would you have offered lower?
I'm not, sorry, can you specify which upgrades then?
Anything in the house, everything that has been done in the house. In this current condition, if like, let's say the kitchen and bathroom weren't.
Again, like I don't have a perspective on what the home looked like prior to it being reassessed. So as anything in a competitive market, I think that I'm not sure I can say I would offer the same thing based on what the house might have looked like. I'm not sure that's a very fair question. We would be making decisions based on various things, all aspects of the home in its entirety, as well as having to respect the market. But again, I don't think that I can answer sort of hypothetically what I would have put on the house pending on whichever upgrades may or may not have been done, because I'm not sure that's necessarily a fair question, to be honest.
Okay. And are you aware of the condition of the comparable properties that you have provided at the time of the sale?
No. I'm going on information that's available publicly, being the city of Winnipeg's, both what the city provided me, but as well, I went back and looked at the documentation that the city makes available to help us go through picking reference dates. The large PDF document, I can't recall exactly what it's called. And within that document, these were ones that were relatively close to the date, but it does not provide sort of that behind the scenes quality perspective as it relates to the property. So no, I do not know what they are.
Okay. And have you made any changes at all to the property since your purchase?
Can you define what you mean by changes? I mean, we have
any changes, anything you've done?
Again, I'm not sure why that's relevant. That's significantly after the fact.
We're assessing based on the condition at a given date. So I'm just asking if you have done any changes to the property since your purchase.
We've made some changes.
Okay, and what were the changes?
Again, I'm not sure why. Can you give some perspective as to why that's relevant? Like we're debating.
Better, as a chairman, that is a fair question. With respect to this, it's not. what we would typically call post-reference information because it's the current condition based on the reference date as of, in this case, April 1st, 2021. So it is a fair question. The weight that is attached to the answer is something the panel will consider in the deliberations. If that assists.
Can I just touch on that? We're actually looking at the condition at the date of the notice. So in this case, it would be January 1st of 2024.
Yes, because this, yes. Thank you for the correction, Jerry.
No
Okay.
worries.
We had the interior painted when we moved in. That was the extent to which the property changed as of January 1st, 2024.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt, questions?
No, I have no additional questions. Thank you.
Mr. Cole Trudeau.
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
And I have no questions. Mr. Penner. Is there any need for a summary, Mr. Thiessen?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, Mr. Penner, and you'd like to make, you don't have to, but if you'd like to make a summary with respect to the evidence heard on this aspect of the property, this assessment, now's your time. Otherwise, we'll just move on to the next one.
No, I appreciate that. You know what, my only in summary, I think, again, as I sort of went into, I'm here, I understand that perhaps whatever my 2025 initial assessment may have been low. I don't, I've been shared comparables. I'm a reasonable person. I can understand that perhaps it needs to be higher than what it was originally listed at there at 362,000 or what have you. I'm here to try to come to a fair value. But I'll be honest, more so than anything, I hope that the board can consider the effective date. I find it very challenging that I received all of these letters at the same time. I think to me, the way that laid out particularly would just indicate that someone went to send my 2025 assessment to me via mail and realized that actually there was some data they should have put in there, and they came up with another value and sent me multiple other letters. Obviously, I can't confirm that, but the fact that they're all dated the same and they arrived in such a manner would lead me to think that. And realistically, if the effective date was January 1st, I can't see why I shouldn't have received it something around January 1st, so that I wouldn't have been out further another $500-600 that I currently will be on my property taxes. So I just hope that the board considers the fairness behind that process, as I'm not sure that that's occurred in this situation. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penner. That will conclude this matter then, and we will move on to the next matter, that being the same property at 421 Cambridge, this time with a reference to April 1st, 2023 and assessment date change. Mr. Thiessen, can you provide your evidence with respect to this matter, please?
Yes, thank you. So again, the subject is located at 421 Cambridge Street, roll number 12041786000. Again, located in the North River Heights neighborhood, two-story build, single-family dwelling, built in 1940, 1767 square feet, full basement, finished, one full bath, 3 half baths, 1 shower, central air conditioning, no fireplace, no attached garage, but does have the single car detached garage, and lot size of 4810 square feet with the medium traffic influence of Cambridge Street. The comparables are all located again in the North River Heights neighborhood, two-story builds, single-family dwellings built between 1928 to 1947. Living areas between 1569 square feet to 2153 square feet. As with the previous one, there is one of the comps that does have the full part area. So again, this is likely related to having some sort of a crawl space in addition maybe. And then all comps do have finished basements with some slight variability in the number of bathrooms. They all do have central air conditioning. Comps 1, 3, and 4 all do have fireplaces. Comp 2 does not. And comps 2 and 3 have detached multi-car garages, whereas comps 1 and 4 have detached single-car garages. The lot sizes range between 4823 square feet to 7211 square feet, and only comp 4 has the medium traffic influence. All other comps have no influences at all. The time adjusted sale prices range between 561,800 to 603,100, and the time adjusted sale prices per square foot range between 272.36 per square foot to 381.33 per square foot. Basically everything that I said for the previous year does apply here as well. And I believe that the current value at 529,000 or 299.38 per square foot is supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Penner, have you any questions of the assessor?
I think my question would really just be, again, similar to what I raised on 2024. Is there a reason that you would choose comparables where the date is effectively as far from the sale date as, like, all of the ones you provided there are, we got May 2021, July 2021, June 2021, and December of 2022. Is there a reason that the evidence provided would not be ones that were closer to the reference date and of similar type to give a closer sort of perspective?
So as with the previous one, I was looking for the best representative sales. So looking for similar characteristics, similar size, upgrades, all that kind of stuff. And then I would use whatever I could from that to get what I believed was the best representatives.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Colatrulio, do you have any questions?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Ms. Nesbitt?
Just a question about assessment increases across the city. What is the average residential increase for assessments across the city this cycle? Do you know?
I don't have that information in front of me. I'm sorry.
So then you don't know for the neighborhood either, right?
I did know it. I don't recall it off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Okay, then if you don't know, then I have no further questions. Thank you very much.
You anticipated a question there, Ms. Nesbitt. I don't have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Mr. Penner, your evidence with respect to this matter, please.
Thank you. I won't rehash my sort of the first page of my, the first page of my brief. Yeah, pardon me, I won't go through the kind of initial piece as far as the letters, the process, the timing of it. To answer the question in relating to the average increase, although I don't have it in my brief, I did receive that when we got our preliminary assessment data, and I believe for our area it was 11%. So for perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
I don't, yeah. Again, that's going by memory, but that was what I had in my head. So again, in terms of my presentation, see on the first page of the brief that I provided, they both, I guess in this case, there was data provided through the City of Winnipeg's My Property service. It was one of the attachments that I had provided that has time adjusted sale prices that are, I'm just opening it up here to make sure that so the first one being 469 469 Cambridge. So this is the same block, time adjusted sale price for, and again, that data, this is pulled from when I log into the My Property, it's giving me 2025 comparable sales. These are all registered from summer until fall 2022. So as you can see in the brief there, sorry, I'm just pulling it up on my windows here. 469 Cambridge, so we're on the same, I believe that should be the same block. Time adjusted sale price 366,100. 416 Waverly Street, which does have a medium traffic influence, 357,600. 287 Campbell, time adjusted sale price, 353,700, and 363 Montrose, 357,800. Again, and this is based on data provided by the city system, of which I would, although I can't see this, I would assume it's doing something similar to by pulling data behind the scenes that I don't have access to provide comparables to properties that are very similar to mine in a range. Again, I can't see that, but I have to assume that this is the fact that this is the city's property assessment system, that it's able to do that and give me these values. And so I think these show again, significant decrease from the 529,000 that I was reassessed. I will note, and although I didn't include this in my evidence, particularly because the question was asked about the average increase of 11% in this assessment cycle, I will note that when I did the math from the 476,000 that I was reassessed for 2024, that 11% increase got me to approximately 529,000, leading me to think that after the reassessment was done, the average amount was applied for the following year. Again, I would say the evidence that I've included to back up my position are properties that the city's own system says are comparable sales, and they are all much closer than the ones put forward by the city to give these values. I don't know. That's happy to take questions.
Thank you. Mr. Thiessen, have you any questions?
I do, thank you. So it sounded, based on what you said just there, that you are not aware of what the overall condition or upgrades or anything of these comparables that you provided are?
No, I don't have access to any of that information. But again, these are auto-generated by the city's assessment system. So I would like to think that it's even more direct comparison than if I was to just pull data from the MLS system citing, due to the fact that I'm assuming comparing them internally and then spitting them out to me.
Okay, and are you aware that the auto comparables, as you had mentioned here, that they are just a sample of sales? They're not necessarily the best sales, they are just a sample of sales.
I'm aware. Yeah, I mean, it's indicated as samples, as anything that we were able to pull for this hearing would be samples of any kind.
Okay, and are you aware that 469 Cambridge and 287 Campbell are both 1 3/4 story builds, not 2 stories? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, muted. I don't recall looking at that specifically. Again, I was going by, I had looked at their 2025 assessment values. I understand, I'm hesitant to cite it here because I understand that their 2025 assessment values are not supposed to be used as evidence. I did go into those properties, I can't say that, like, I appreciate if they are, and that the information that's provided on the City of Winnipeg site doesn't have that when giving me the sample. But I would, in that case, that I would say that's fair to point out. I wasn't necessarily aware of that.
Okay, and then furthermore, are you aware that 416 Waverly was a private sale, so we don't really know what the overall condition at all would be, or what conditions might have been present for the sale? On
416, is that correct?
416 Waverly, yeah.
No, I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware. I'm not sure if maybe it's a question. I wasn't aware of that. That's not information that's provided on the evidence that I provided there. It wasn't something I was aware of, and the fact that it is still then included as the system's auto-generated comparable sales leads me to think that the system believes that it's still a fair comparison.
And just related to the auto comparisons, did you look at these prior to getting your assessment notice?
Do you mean in June?
Yeah, so prior to getting the changed values.
I can't recall. I've had an account when I had my my previous property before I moved. It's not something I look at regularly, so I can't recall if I can't recall. I don't want to say no because I'll be honest, I don't remember looking at it specifically before then.
Okay, no problem. And then previously you had mentioned that you had only done painting prior to January 1st of 2024. Since January 1st of 2024, have you done any other changes to the property?
So we got a new water heater very recently. I don't know if that counts. I would say nothing significant or dramatic. We haven't redone our kitchen, redone our basement or anything like that. No, I would say not. I don't know if a water heater counts, but I would say other than that, no.
So really just the water heater, that's about all you've done since?
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nesbitt?
I have no questions for the applicant, but can I follow up something with the assessor or wait
Sure.
until after? Or
Oh, let's do it now.
okay, thank you. Mr. Thiessen, you talked about the types of evidence that's available to the applicant. I think it's referred to as the My Property Service. Is that it? That
Yeah.
applicants can go on?
Yeah.
Is it a listing of all sales that have taken place? You said at one point it's a sample of sales, or is it all sales?
So through the My Properties link, it is typically for sales. It's not necessarily for, it can be more, it can be less than four, but typically it is for sales. It's just a sample of for sales for that property. But the model itself uses all sales throughout the city. So this is just a sample of the sales.
So I'm still not quite understanding. So on the My Property Service, it's only a select number of sales. It's not every single one sort by neighborhood. It's a select few.
Yes. However, on the sales information link on our website, all sales are listed.
Okay, so there's two different pieces then that are available, correct?
Yes. One is property specific and one is just all sales.
So the My Property Service, how for an applicant to put in information there, do they say, I have a 2-story in this neighborhood, whatever, or how does it select them?
They have a property specific access code. And this is, like I said, just a sample of sales. It gets populated into there for the property itself.
Okay, I gotcha. And then there's a whole different database with all sales that is also available.
Correct, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much for clarifying that. I have no further questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Trudeau?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Penner, you indicated in paragraph 7 of your submission that the paragraph 8, I guess, that your request is to reduce the assessed value to $460,000. That correct?
Yeah.
And that's based on is that based on the comparables that you've listed between paragraphs 3 and paragraph 6, or is that based on all of the properties that you researched?
So what I was providing there, again, recognizing I was intentionally, I understand that sales data is what's to be used at these hearings, not necessarily the assessment values, as they may be only one factor in determining the final assessment value in a given year. And so what I was providing there was just, again, for my own researching perspective, the properties listed 3 through 6, that the average 2025 assessment value is $460,000 for those properties. So added up, divided by 4. Those properties range from ones larger than mine to ones smaller than mine, lot sizes bigger than mine, smaller than mine, some with the medium traffic influence or otherwise. And so I was using, to me, I guess I was using that as I only have access to, again, following sort of the way that I'm able to get evidence. I have access to the properties from the My Property system. If I was to click the address there, it actually just opens up the link on the City of Winnipeg's property assessment site, at which point I can see a select number of factors on the property that's publicly available, as well as their 2025 assessment. So I can't see, sort of going backwards beyond, as of right now anyway, what their 2025 assessment will be, and the sort of time adjusted sale price that is listed in the system there. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does, for my purposes. Thank you. I don't have anything further. Mr. Thiessen, any summary part?
No, I don't. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Penner, any summary that you would like to make?
No, I don't think so. Not at this time, I think. Yeah, no.
Thank you, then. That will conclude this matter. We'll move on to the next matter, and you will be notified by registered mail. Thank you, Mr. Penner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next map. Sorry, we'll just wait one moment here.
It's close. Cheers.
Okay, were you ready?
Yeah.
Great. The next matter we will be moving to is street address of 830 South Drive. I believe the applicants are here in person with respect to this matter. So Mr. Mohan, could you please affirm the applicant?
Can we just slide one of these other chairs?
Yeah, of course. I can grab that for you. Carol, just grab one of you. There you go.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, and if I can just get you to stand, please, just to remember. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
David McCangus,
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Cheers, you may be seated. That's right, you may stand. Please state your full name.
Glenn Alexander McAngus,
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
absolutely.
Cheers, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Thiessen, moving on to 830 South Drive here. Can you present your brief, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. The subject property is located at 830 South Drive, roll number 03080849000. It is located in the Crescent Park neighborhood. It's a one-story build, single-family dwelling, built in 2019, 3282 square feet, has a walkout basement that is finished, has 2 full bathrooms, 3 half bathrooms, and 1 shower, has central air, 2 fireplaces, an attached multi-car garage, and its lot size is 23,671 square feet. It has a bus route, external corner, and light traffic, as well as regional park influences. The regional park is Crescent Drive Park. It backs onto Crescent Drive Park. The light traffic is for being on South Drive, and same with the bus route. And the external corner is for being at the corner of South Drive and Holly Avenue. The comparables are all located in different neighborhoods. So comp 1 is in Fort Richmond. Comp 2 and 3 are in Victoria Crescent, and comp 4 is in Wildwood. I pulled these comps specifically because they are more similar in the style of build, size of build, and kind of the prestigious area of South Drive, where South Drive was sort of lacking in the sale market. There is the comp 4 that is in South Drive, or on South Drive, but it's in Wildwood. The issue with that one is it is, as you can see, significantly smaller, no walkout basement, no basement finish, no garage. And I only included it because it was really the only one-story sale on South Drive that wasn't demolished for a new build within a reasonable time frame before the reference date. There are permits on that property that do suggest a major renovation. So there is that to consider as well. So the comparables, they are all one-story build, single-family dwellings, built between 1954 to 2000. Living area is between 1642 square feet to 2474 square feet. None of them have walkout basements. They're all full basements or full part area. 3 out of the 4 do have finished basements. Comp 4 does not have a finished basement at all. The bathroom counts do vary quite significantly between the comparables. Comp 4 does not have a central air conditioner, all others do. Fireplace count is also slightly different between all the properties. So Comp 1 and 4 have 1, Comp 3 has 3, and Comp 2 has 2. Comp 1 and 2 have attached multi-car garages, as like the subject does. Comp 3 has a detached multi-car garage, and Comp 4 has no garage. Comp 3 also has a sunroom. The lot size ranges between 12,001 square feet to 32,319 square feet. There are influences on Comp 1 and 3 that are the Park Red River influence. Essentially what this is they back onto forested area, and then there is the river quite a bit of ways. You can't really actually see the river from the properties based on what I did a review of the MLS listings. The photos show basically a wooded area, very similar to the subject property. Comp 2 doesn't have any land influences at all. Comp 1 also has the two-way stop. And Comp 4 is an actual river adjacent lot. It is the worst comp that I have. I don't put a lot of stake into that one. I just wanted to find something on South Drive that was a 1-story, as I previously mentioned. The time adjusted sale prices range between 966,200 to 1,404,900. The time adjusted sale price per square foot ranges between 446.04 per square foot to 658.40 per square foot. Related to the comparables, Comp 1 is a decent comp. It lacks the walkout. It's significantly smaller lot, and a much lower quality build. Comp 2 is a good comp. It lacks the walkout. It's much smaller. It does have the positive regional park influence. Does not have the regional park influence. Doesn't have any land influences, so it doesn't back onto the Red River as the other ones sort of do. And it's also a lower quality build. Comp 3 is probably the best comp, but it lacks the walkout, and it's much smaller. And it's still of slightly lower quality of the finishings than the subject. Based on all of this information, I believe the current value at 1,735,000 or 528.64 per square feet is supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. David McCangus, do you have any questions?
Yes, I'm looking at the comps and I'm wondering why you left out 762 South Drive, which is a bungalow walkout in the sales time. It was excluded.
That was in your brief too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So in your brief, even you mentioned that it was likely to be demolished or completely renovated.
Yeah.
So I mean, typically I would be kind of looking at that if that was the case, as perhaps a vacant land sale. Whereas the one that I did include was not scheduled to be demolished, as far as I can tell. It does look like it is going to have a major renovation, though.
If you go to the MLS listings, and if you go to 762 South Drive, you'll find that it had previously been renovated. The new owners have decided to either renovate it or go forward with it, but I think it should not be left out as a comp. It was designed by an architect by the name of Talbot, was one of the founding partners of Smith Carter. So it's an exclusive house built on piles, a whole bunch of things like that, and it is on the river. So I just excluding it seems unfair, and then all the other comps, other than the one on South Drive, which I happen to have been in that house before, that was a Duckworth house, I believe. They're not even in Port Garry. Like, we're not talking comps that are even in the zone. I don't know where they're coming from, and the one on Kilkenny, I know that was an abnormal sale because.
Mr. McAngus said, this is your opportunity
To ask-
to ask questions.
Okay,
Please,
well,
you will
I'll
get an
ask him the
opportunity to
question.
give your evidence.
Okay,
uh,
Would. Sorry, were there other houses considered on Kilkenny Drive on the riverside for your purposes?
What I was
Times.
what I was really specifically looking for was something that wasn't river adjacent, because river adjacent, I would be more confident in looking at a property that backs onto wooded area than I would be backing onto directly onto the river, because it would be much more similar to your own property than backing directly onto a river.
Yeah. I just want to confirm that 830 Kilkenny backs onto a wooded area, and that there are no roads behind it. There's no boat launch or anything like that. I just want to confirm that, if that's the case.
I believe that it backs onto wooded area, and then there is that space leading up to the Red River. I don't know 100% for certain that there isn't what you had just mentioned, but that is what I do know about the property. There is wooded area behind it, and then the Red River is beyond that wooded area.
One other question, the house on Victoria Crescent. I'm looking at the number there, or excuse me, Victoria Grove. You use that as an example because the lot sizes are similar. But I'm just trying to figure out if that house was on the river, would it be worth more?
I would suspect so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. No more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn McAngus. You were sworn in as well. Did you have some questions?
Well, I guess my biggest concern, we go back to the 762 South Drive. When you put your comparables together, I'm fairly familiar with this process, and I don't understand how that could be missed. And then you go to 630 Kilkenny Drive. Do you know any history of how that sale happened, or how that number got to $1,040,000? Because I'm privy to how it got there, and if you
And you will get a chance to give your evidence, but this is again a time.
Okay,
but we're asking,
what I'm asking, yeah, okay, it seems to be that I guess that was the question. Is he familiar with the sale process, or?
I'm aware that it's sold on the MLS.
Because it looks to me like we're cherry picking comparables to try to make a case that, I don't know, like it doesn't, none of these comparables are making sense for what we're comparing to. And it makes it difficult because they're not, yeah, I'm not sure where to go.
but when we do our proof.
Yeah.
We're not gonna.
Is that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Cole Trudeau, have you any questions of Mr. Thiessen?
I will ask just with respect to sales of this type of property, is that the limiting factor here, that there are just not many sales of single story property with walkout basement in proximity of the river anywhere in the city that you can draw to?
That is
your problem?
That is the biggest issue. I went with areas that are at least fairly nearby. I didn't want to go and expand into a Assiniboine River type property, or like Tuxedo type properties that might back onto the Tuxedo Park forest area there. I was looking specifically at areas nearby that have somewhat similar prestige, and that have sort of the wooded area and have similar sizes, builds, and similar sizes of lots.
So you would say that there really aren't many other sales? The gentlemen were asking about a specific sale on South Drive, I believe it was. And you felt that there was issue with that sale. And that's why you've not included it in your presentation today?
Yeah, so with that one, like I was trying to avoid as much as possible using river adjacent sales because this property isn't river adjacent. It is backing onto a regional park. So, I mean, they're not exactly apples to apples. I was trying to find more things that would be backing onto a parked wooded area or have no influences at all. So that's where comp 2 comes in, where it doesn't have any land influences at all, but it is built in 2000 and similar lot size. And yeah.
Call order. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nesbitt, any questions?
Yeah, I'll just ask this, Mr. Thiessen, has this property been inspected recently or by yourself or by somebody else?
Not by myself. However, in the evidence that I did submit, you will see the photos from 2022 where my colleague Eric was there.
So he did a full inspection?
Yes. Or so is my understanding.
Okay, so these are photos taken by the assessor.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much.
I have a couple of questions as well, Mr. Thiessen, with respect to the comps. I see that none of the comps that you provided include a walkout basement. What is can you give us an indication of whether a walkout basement versus a full basement would lead to an increase in valuation or a decrease in valuation? Is there a correlation there?
It would absolutely have an increase in valuation. It is a positive attribute that allows you to have basically a full extra at grade living area. It's absolutely a positive attribute.
Looking at the area and where the subject property is that near the Crescent Drive golf course?
Yes. So across the street to the southeast, that would be what was that? Holly Street or Holly Avenue, sorry. And then onto the other side of that would be the Crescent Drive golf course.
Okay, thank you.
There's a couple, I think a couple properties or something like that, but yeah.
That helps me orient it. Thank you. The last question I have is with respect to and just for my own edification, finished basements are included. The yard pictures that seem to depict either an outdoor kitchen or a nicely finished yard patio. Is that something that is considered in the valuation of a property? I don't see it listed in the building description or characteristics.
It would be something that might go into the model depending on what the characteristic is. For that outdoor kitchen, I wouldn't expect it actually to be included. I believe that there is a hot tub shown there. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but that would be included. It doesn't necessarily add value in the model. What would depend on happening would be how the model specifies what the value is from the analysis. So it might add value, it might not. In this case, I don't think we even add something like the kitchen fireplace area, whatever that exactly is. So it wouldn't be reflected.
Okay.
And a lot of things in yards are somewhat subjective, so it's tough to say whether that would even add value in the open market.
Thank you. I don't have anything further. Mr. McCangus, David McCangus, or Glenn McCangus, your evidence, please. We're going to make the presentation, please.
First of all, it's not a kitchen, it's a fireplace that we salvaged from the old gazebo that was there when we knocked down our house. It's not a fancy kitchen up there. This is the third time since I built the house that I've had to appeal the tax. And a 30% increase after coming to an agreement in 2022. I think is unfair and unreasonable. At the time when I went through it with Eric Gauthier, he, well, when we did it a few years ago, he said there are no comparables. We want to do a cost approach, land and building. So as I'm a builder, I know how to build things and get a good look with inexpensive finishes. And I've gone through on my presentation, which I'll give to you all, like the cabinets in the house, as an example, are pine cabinets. The doors were built by Elias Woodwork and Winkler, site stained. I mean, nothing special at all. Normally in a big house like this, you would see a kitchen from Heirloom or Norcraft, and it'd be a $200,000 kitchen, not a $25,000 kitchen. The millwork throughout the house is all just pine. And it's got basic light fixtures. And I know when they take the pictures of the place, I would remind you that the artwork and the furniture aren't part of the house, nor is the wine in the wine rack. The bathrooms are all basic with just fiberglass showers and the like. The one master bedroom bath is the only bath that's got ceramic tile. You know, the house is basically finished in half-inch and 5-inch drywall. Even when we did the outside, I cheaped out. I used James Hardy board on the where you could see it, and the rest of the house is stucco. Like, I'm getting penalized because it appears the city thinks that someone buying this house would not notice these things, but it is what it is. There's no variation. Just as an example, I used mid-range granite through the whole house. Exactly the same granite. It was much cheaper to buy that way. Each bathroom isn't different, it's all the same. The stonework, what you see, is all cultivated stone, none of it is real. Eric, when he went through the house, he said, well, these beams and columns, I mean, they must be expensive. I said, well, no, they're not. They're all fake, they're all decorative, and the total cost on them was roughly $22,000. So when I'm looking at the cost of the house, it was built for under $1 million. And I look at the lot being worth about $450 through different aspects of it. One of the things that I did make a bad mistake on, I used colored concrete on the driveways. And when you order it colored, it was a $2,500 upcharge for it. Unfortunately, that day, the temperature rose to about 32 degrees. And I'm pouring this colored concrete. Concrete's failed in the driveway. Someone come to purchase that house. The first thing I would see is the failed concrete in the driveway. And it's roughly 55 grand to pull it into place. Pulling it is a big part of it. Going to the lot values, the lot immediately to our south was 740 Holly Avenue. It was sold for $802,000. The city still has for whatever, assessed it $250,000. I don't know why. And it was subdivided and now cleared. I've got the information from the city. It's now 2 70-foot lots with South Drive addresses, no longer Holly Avenue. And our lot is slightly bigger, so slightly wider. So I'm allowing $450,000 for our lot, which I think is a reasonable amount, as it is not a river lot. And this is because I fought this issue all the way from 1985, all the way through, where the city keeps on trying to assess it as the same value as a river lot. And clearly they are not. It's not a river lot. It does not even come close on that valuation. I've got letters from 2 other realtors other than my brother stating that the non-river lot on South Drive is worth about 45 and 50% less. It's just unfair that they make it sound like it's the same as a river lot. And I know all the neighbors in our particular block are upset because they all had these huge increases. Without any, just over 1 year, it's a huge amount. Houses on South Drive, the assessor, I hate the term when they use the word prestige for South Drive. You can't put an amount on prestige, and that should not be a term used. We're at the south end of South Drive. We're in Crescent Drive area. We're not near the Ravenscourt end where it's big, beautiful trees and river lots. And it's where we're located is not prestigious in any form. The houses around across the street, they're sort of 400,000, 300, 500,000. I may be overbuilt for the area, but I don't think we should be penalized because I was able to deliver a home at a reasonable cost. And when I go to these other houses on South Drive, and you use the lot value of $900,000 and back them out, and I know the one that I used was 750 South Drive because that was a sale of a newer home. Granted, it's 2-story, but if you take they've got a 2.1 million as a sale, and you use the lot value of 900 grand, which is a proven number because, as you stated, they're knocking down houses on South Drive and paying $1 million for the lots on the river. So I simply took 900,000 off the 2.1 million through the square footage and ended up with $244. I know what it costs to build the house, and the lot value of 450 when I go to mine. We should be. I thought I had an agreement with Eric Gauthier, because I said to him we did a conversation when this first came out, because he'd been to the house, been through it, and I said, I think this is really off the mark, and I felt that a fair adjustment would be 6 to 8%. And I thought I had an agreement with him. His comment to me was, as long as you don't appeal it, I think that sounds fair. But then I get the assessment comes and it's still at the high amount. So I think that having gone through this for the 3rd time, since we didn't actually get into the house until 2020, I just don't see how you get it to 30% increase. I just have a tough time with it. And I say the comps, they're not even in the same. They're in St. Vital. They're all over the place. Nothing related to ours. So that's my spiel. I'll let you talk about comps.
Yeah, I guess when you look at the comp on Kilkenny, for example, there's 2 other houses that sold on Kilkenny in the same, and they were overlooked. And if you look at the one's 2,800 square feet and sold for $740, the other one is 3,500 square feet and it sold for $850. Like, it seems like we're kind of cherry picking like what kind of works. And I understand it's difficult to find comparables, but I don't think you can just cherry pick to try to make, like, I know the situation 830, and I can talk to you about pretty much all these comparables here, and they don't work for what we're trying to debate here today. And I don't know how much different, like when you have 2 other comparables on the street and they're overlooked, and then one's put in it to try to, I guess, make a case for the numbers. It's not even comparable. I don't know where you go with this.
That's your submission?
Yeah. I just want to make it clear that those 2 lots now are South Drive lots, and they're 400 grand. I'd like to make that really clear. And there's 2 big houses with walkout basements coming there. The other thing is, and I doubt the assessor knows that, but South Drive itself at the south end is actually the dike for the river, the original dike. So that's why there's a lockout, because you can do it. There is no special construction that did that. Matter of fact, I didn't have to pour concrete on the back wall. It's just a grade beam. So to say that it's the nature of the lot as it slopes down because it was the dike. And it is the best. Thank you.
Mr. Deason, questions?
I have several, thank you. So just touching on what you just mentioned about the walkout, would you agree though that having a walkout basement is a positive development, if relative to another property that was in basically the
Yes.
same condition overall, but didn't have the walkout?
It makes the house look much nicer, but it isn't, it's still the square footage of finished space. It's not, it isn't, how can I put it? Our old house had the walkout. I mean, it was just, again, the lot allows for it. It's not, we didn't create a situation that it was there. But
all things being
you're
equal,
ignoring, but then 762 South Drive had a walkout basement, you've ignored it.
so all things being equal, would you suggest that all other things, sorry, that a house with a full basement would likely sell for less than a house with a walkout basement?
But there has to be an amount attached to that. I would agree, it's more desirable to have a walkout basement. I don't disagree.
Okay, thank you.
I point out the 762 South Drive is a walkout.
And with those Kilkenny sales that you mentioned, what is the situation with those properties? Do they back onto a wooded area? Do they back onto the Red River?
They're on
Do
the
they?
same side of the street, exactly the same situation, yeah, I can give you the 1076 Kilkenny and 1024 Kilkenny.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly look at those just to see what the situation is here. And do you know what the overall condition of those properties
Yeah,
was?
I've been involved. Oh, they were, one of them, the 880 had renovations done to it. The 1076 was dated.
And size wise,
Well, one's almost 2,900 square feet and the other one's 3,422. But they are 2 stories.
there are 2 stories.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
And this is a 1-story build, correct? The subject property?
Yeah.
Okay. And just to clarify, the conversation you had with Eric was regarding the previous assessment, not this 2025 assessment.
no,
where
there
you
was
believe
this assessment. I talked to him.
you spoke with him during the preview program, but the time that you came to the agreement and don't appeal that stuff, that was all for the 2024, I believe, or 2023.
That's for this one. The 2025. I talked to him. Whatever, 3 or 4 months ago, when you were allowed to phone in.
Okay, but
This is not, I've had Eric quite a bit on this thing.
yeah, I spoke with Eric and he said that there was no conclusion of value. There was not going to be any kind of agreement. I don't know.
I'm disagreeing with his comment. I'll leave it
Okay.
at that.
So then you also mentioned that there's no prestige, but you do back onto a large wooded area on being Crescent Drive Park, correct?
I would, yes, but there is a road behind us. We get vagrants back there as well. There's a road, and then there's 800 feet back, then there's a boat launch. So it's not a river lot.
And then
The golf course, right?
Yeah, well, the golf course
The
doesn't,
golf course, that Thermia is a part of the golf course.
yeah, that's to the south of.
that's the south, yeah. And so in your brief, you said that 2 of the bathrooms have inexpensive fiberglass enclosures. What about the other 3 bathrooms?
There's no enclosures, there's only, your information that isn't even accurate, but there's fiberglass enclosed shower on the main floor, there's a fiberglass tub in the lower level. The other ones, there's 2 powder rooms and the master bedroom bath. I don't know where to get in it, you've got full drawings, like. Yeah, when you start going through the house, I look at even they show the picture of the wine room. Well, it doesn't have a cooler, it's not climate controlled or anything like that. The wine racks are from Amazon stained and put against the wall. There's no specialty systems there or anything.
So, related to the 740 Holly that you brought up and also mentioned in your brief, you say that there is a deterrent to the property based off of the building that was there. But that building is no longer there, right?
That building was there in 2023, but it is gone now, and now it's a very unsightly mess. The lot is unkept. People walk their dogs down there and they make a real mess and they don't clean up. That is still there. I will be very happy when they build the 2 new houses that are going there.
Right. So you said that there are the 2 new houses going up in that
They're
area
supposed to
after,
be. I haven't seen any.
rezoning.
I haven't seen any permits. They've got the variance. They've got the lots are subdivided, so they should. And when we went to all the hearings for that, they showed the houses that were going to be built and they were going to be walkouts and all that.
And as you mentioned in your brief, that property did sell for 802,000 as the vacant land with the building on it. And that was in April 6th of 2021. So the frontage along Holly Avenue is about 245 square feet, based off of the MLS listing there. And then they state that the total area of the lot is 35,174 square feet. So based off of that, it looks like the total frontage of South Drive would be about 144 square feet, or not square feet. Not all of what I just said should have been feet, not square feet. So this would mean that your property, the frontage along South Drive, is about 122 feet.
119,
is that right?
Actually, the city has it wrong somewhere, but it's 119.
Okay. So based on that, it theoretically seems that based off of the precedent from across the street and being rezoned to the same R1L that your property is, that you likely could probably subdivide to, not knowing for sure what approvals would actually occur, but theoretically.
That's nonsense. You know it. I couldn't subdivide it. It was parkland. It's a completely different scenario. It was a parkland zoning that they got to R1. My lot is my lot. You're telling me that we would knock down our house and subdivide it? I mean, what are we talking about here? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, you brought up the land issue of the parkland being worth 40 to 45 to 50% less than River Lot, but they have that sale directly across the way. So, I mean, I'm kind of wondering why you come up with 400,000 when you have an 802,000 sale right across the street.
I actually said 450,000, and it's 2 lots, and are we saying that the value of our home, we should sell it and subdivide it? Like, I don't know where you're going with that. Like, so any lot in South Drive that's 100 feet wide, they're going to subdivide? You think that?
You brought up the value of the lots, so I'm bringing this up as something that I believe is
We've gone far enough.
Yeah, 450,000 is fair for lot value. For my lot.
And so just related to what these 2 realtors, as well as your brother here, have mentioned about that, do you have anything beyond anecdotal evidence to suggest that that is actually the case? No actual sale data?
Well, yeah, the sales data is the houses, the lots right beside it. Those are South Drive lots backing on. They're actually more desirable. The one is more desirable because it also overlooks the golf course. But the other house, the Neiman house, what is it, 662 South Drive, was sold and it was knocked down for $1.2 million. So that gives you the river lot value. So.
But did those 2 subdivided lots, did they sell?
Yeah, they're sold. They're sold.
Like they sold each individually?
Yes, they're sold.
Okay.
Well,
And they sold for $450,000 each?
They went for 400 because 401 because the price on it was 802 and they sold for 401. Assuming the two brothers that bought them each paid the same amount.
Okay, so
Like I've included in our supplementary thing, the notification that the city sent me that the subdivision had gone through. It's right, it's in the package, and I don't know if you guys, I don't know if others get the package, but it's right there.
so those lots then did not actually sell in the open market.
What do you mean?
They sold the total lot prior to subdivision, that sold, correct? For 802,000.
Yeah.
Whereas the two separate parcels did not sell. They were actually separated into the two brothers who bought the total
That
lot.
was always a plan.
That was always the plan, so I mean, I can't comment on that. I mean, the numbers established, I don't know what we're.
Okay, so but we don't know what the actual true value of if one of those lots sold would be.
Oh, I think you've got that. But like, what do you, like, I'm missing something here.
It wasn't those lots that sold. Regardless, I'll continue from here
It was sold at 802,000,
for the whole lot.
knowing that they were gonna subdivide it,
Split.
they were gonna split.
I think we've gone far enough down this,
Yep.
the subdivision, but
Yeah.
I think I'm
Yep.
very aware and Val's very aware of the nature of the subdivision and the fact that, it was split into two lots. And I think we've got far enough with that.
I agree.
Yeah, no problem. And then from your own evidence, your comp at 762 South Drive is likely to be demolished or completely renovated.
Yeah.
So theoretically, any prudent buyer would not pay significantly over what the land value of the property is, given that they do intend to demolish or completely renovate the house. But you still, in your brief, attributed $134,000 of value to the building. Why is that?
Because from what I gathered from the other realtors, that the lots on that part of South Drive would be worth around 900 grand. That's why.
Okay.
That's to show the differential between a river lot and a non-river lot as well, which we are. So on the cost approach of our house plus the lot, we're in the zone of 1.49 or something like that is where I feel we should be.
Okay, and then regarding 750 South Drive from your brief, you did also mention that it is a two-story build.
Yep.
And that typically, like the markets for bungalows and two-story builds are not necessarily the same participants. Is that correct?
Well, I'm a contractor, and you square footage is square footage. You do gain a little bit when you as a two-story, but they are fully finished, and you know that that was a high-quality home. So the price is the price. It's 2.1, and you know, and you guys know that the lots are worth at least 900 on there. So I'm leaving the rest.
And then, so typically speaking, would you then say all other things being equal, so everything else is the same, but it's a one-story and a two-story, would you typically expect the one-story or the two-story to sell for more?
It depends on the quality of finishes to the
all things being equal.
Well, you'd get a slight reduction in the two-story.
Okay. And this property also lacks the walkout basement that the subject has.
I don't know if it has a walkout basement or not.
I verified it does not.
Okay. It has a finished basement. It has a finished basement and it is on the river.
Yeah. And so then on what grounds are you coming to the conclusion that a 6% increase would be fair value? Just out of curiosity.
Because that's what I thought it was generally in our area.
Okay, so the median increase in the region is actually 12%.
When you say region, what is the region?
The market region.
Know the percentages.
I thought you didn't know the percentages from last.
I wrote this one down,
Oh,
so I have it in front of me. You mentioned in your brief that you were looking for the 6%, so
Yeah, well,
in the other briefs,
because I know what the cost of the house was, and I know what the lot is, and 6 to 8% gets me to a fair number. Now, of course, I put the 6% in.
Okay.
But when you say region, that's what I want to understand. when you say 12%, what is a region?
So it's the market region. I believe this is market region 8, or 7, or I think it's 8. So it's just like a larger market region that we use.
Why wouldn't you use the one from like neighborhood 612 Crescent Park? Why wouldn't
I use the specific data that I had readily available, and this is what I had. So,
yeah, but why wouldn't you use the one for the specific area?
like I said, I used the data that I had available, and that was what I had.
Okay. I would ask you or ask someone to see what it is, what the increase is in 612 Crescent Park. That would
Okay.
be
So, you are a builder. You mentioned you've been doing it for many decades.
Yep.
So what would you say would be the typical cost of building a custom home of this? Not your cost, the typical cost on a per square foot basis.
my cost, and like that's, I got into this with Eric. He had some idea that houses, home builders had 25% markups and things like that. I don't know where he would have got that from. And that, trust me, I wouldn't still be working if that was the case. So it depends on the finishes, and that is critical. And that's why I listed the finishes. These were the finishes in our home are not typical of what you would find in a custom built home. As I explained earlier, most of these custom homes would have a Nordcraft or an heirloom kitchen, things like that, which are a couple of $100,000. So you have to look at what we have as a cost, not what an average custom builder would build, because you have to compare it to what we have, not what the market, like somebody building our house, they would have probably done way more. But I elected not to do that. So, I mean, like off the cuff, $350 a foot. But that number, as you know, doesn't mean much until you get into the finishes and the piling and all, like the whole thing, site servicing. You can't just, like when I read that they're using manuals. Well, every home is different, and it has to be looked at individually.
So you're saying that to build your house, you would charge someone about $350 a square foot?
Now, what date are you talking about? Today?
As of January 1st of 2025.
Oh, it would be more today.
Or sorry, January 1st, April 1st of 2023.
Well, I don't have a calculator to figure out the inflation rate going back, but I'll give you some simple stats that the Manitoba Fair Wage Construction Fair Wages Act, which we follow in our company, has had increases on average of 5% sort of every 16 to 18 months, and in some cases yearly. So that's the rate of inflation. But at the time, when I built it for under $1 million. And I did build another house. Unfortunately, I would like to use as an example on Waverly Street, but I don't have the homeowners. Didn't ask for their permission, but I did build an exclusive custom home in 2020 in Old River Heights. That's bigger than my house. It is a 2-story, and I built it in the $1 million zone. So that will give you some idea.
Okay, I have no further questions.
There are some adjustments with COVID and material costs that went up, went down. It's very hard to use a dartboard and nail those material costs. The labor is pretty consistent, but materials was an issue at that time and would be hard to nail down.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Colatrubio. Questions?
Into the deep end of the pool I go. So you built the house
Yeah.
for approximately $1 million.
Yeah.
That was, what year did you build this?
We moved in right at the end of 2019.
Okay,
It wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't finished until 2020.
so you finished building before the crazy increases in construction costs.
Right, but again, those, go ahead.
So that was done before.
Yeah.
And you've also stated that if you were to build, around $350 a square foot would be in the ballpark for building a place like that?
Building a place like this.
Yes.
Not to be confused with a super high end.
No, and I appreciate
Yeah,
it, and I understand the distinction you're making. And if I were to turn around and accept your log value at
Yeah.
$450.
Yeah.
I do quick math and I come up with about 1.6.
I'd like it at one,
I'm
but like,
just
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
understand, and I appreciate, and maybe I think you do also appreciate the fact that. This type of a property is fairly unique, I'm gonna say. Would you agree with me on that?
absolutely.
Okay. And I bet you would have a hard time. And maybe your brother would concur with me that finding a comp in the sale year that we're looking for a property that's similar anywhere in the city is going to be difficult. Would you agree?
Yep. And that's why I've gone to the cost approach, and that's why I've even put in about the driveway would be a faltering issue for
Yeah,
someone.
I saw the picture of the driveway.
Yeah. It's failed.
I see that. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Is there any other reason or any other property you can point to? That had a sale in the reference here?
I
That
can't,
you're aware.
that
Cost of the.
Katelnikov, the one on South Drive, is the only one. Now, that house had been renovated and renovated. It wasn't Bonnie, as my father would say inside, but I've been in that house several times. It's a gorgeous lot. But by the same token, these new owners, no one's been living there for a year and a half. These same owners, because it's built on piles, walkout basement, all those things, they may elect to do a super renovation. That's fine. But again, I was just trying to establish lot value. But it is a walkout, it has a bunch of things, it is architecturally designed, a renowned architect, but it's sitting there without the grass being cut.
So I guess at the end of the day. You have the same problem as the assessor does.
Absolutely.
And I guess the age-old question is. At the date of reference.
Yeah.
What would you actually sell the place for? Never mind what you want the assessment at,
No,
because that's a different animal.
yeah, but I know you're gonna ask this question. I have no interest in selling the house in any way, and I think it's a quick.
And that's appreciated.
Yeah, okay, so we've lived there for almost 40 years. We built this house, even the bathroom in the guest bedroom on the main floor, we built it. So that it can in the future handle handicap, like. This is our life.
Long term.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting, because of things that I've done there, doesn't mean I would get them out down the road either. I don't know that. But we built it for ourselves. And when there's no comps, like, I mean, the closest comp here is the one on Victoria Crescent. And, you look at that one, and if you use the square footage values, then that would put me at 1.49 or something. If we use the square footage cost there.
But, and if you use, of course. The problem with Victoria is that. It doesn't have the walkout basement. It doesn't have certainly the amount of bathrooms that your property has. And the house itself is 800 square feet approximately smaller. Right, so, it becomes a difficult thing. Even the lot size is very comparable, but it doesn't have the same location per se.
Well, it's got-
In years.
It has a better location.
Think it does? Okay.
Yeah, it's on a cul-de-sac without buses.
Okay.
It's in a park-like setting. So it's a better location,
Fair.
okay? There's no,
But it is a smaller property without a walk.
it is, but using the 446 square foot value, multiply that by our square footage, see what that number comes to.
Sorry, you're using, sorry, you're using.
If you use the $446 per square foot,
Yeah.
land in, and then use our square footage of 3282, see what that comes to.
Yeah.
Or is that bring you there?
Just. Which slope. $1,464,000. Approximately.
So. I don't want to say I rest my case. It's in the zone, like,
Well, it is, and I would suggest to you that in that instance.
Yeah.
That property being a full basement as opposed to a walkout basement, you would agree with me that that walkout basement adds value to.
right,
To that, and
but
so
not,
potentially.
Yeah.
That number would be greater because if it was a walkout basement,
yes, but that if.
and we'd have a different conversation.
We would have a different conversation only because that lot. Wouldn't allow for the. From South Drive from Crane Avenue to Holly. Is the dike and it
Yes,
goes down like
I
that, so
appreciate
it isn't. If you're looking at costs,
It doesn't allow you to do that in this.
it would look stupid. If I did a full basement and just had a concrete wall across the back, right? So there's some give and take there in my opinion.
I appreciate that, but I mean, ultimately,
Yeah.
we have to try and look at.
Yeah.
Your property and the
Yeah.
way it exists today. And try and the assessor is
Yeah.
doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And to somehow find.
Yeah.
Comparable that we can draw to and say, yes, we think this is.
Yeah.
In the neighborhood.
But this is the extra cost.
Okay, I'm just gonna stop you. You're into a dialogue now.
Okay.
We're not into
All right, I'm
questions
fine.
at all, So
Yeah.
let's not
Okay.
get into this
Okay.
now.
No, thank you very much.
I wasn't. trying-
No,
I'm fine.
Okay. Ms. Desmond, have you any questions?
No, I have no questions, thanks.
I have no questions either at this point. Mr. Thiessen, have you a summary?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I do believe that I have fairly good comparables relative to the difficulty with pulling decent comparables for the property, given the style of build that it is, and that I believe that the value is well supported by those comparables.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McKangus, summary?
Summary is, I don't quite follow how the city handles these things when I meet with them 2 years ago and agree at 1,333,000. Grudgingly, I did admit to that, and then to get a 30% increase. It tells me something is not a-okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that will conclude this matter and you will receive a registered letter in the future.
Okay, one question. Do you guys get the actual?
We have
copy of-
we have electronic copies.
Okay, don't worry.
Of all of us.
I just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr. Chair, would we be able to take a short recess? I just have to check on some things on the AV.
That makes sense. Is 10 minutes not enough?
No, that's perfectly great.
Okay, then we'll take 10 minutes and be back at 5:02.
Okay.
Thank you. Call this meeting back to order and turn to the next item on the list, that being at street address 139 Grenfell. Mr. Mohan, could you please swear in the applicant, Thomas Rimple? Of course, Mr. Chair.
Mr. applicant, please state your full name.
Thomas Rempel-Ong.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Thiessen, turning to 139 Grenfell Boulevard, can you present your evidence, please?
Yes, thank you. So the subject property is located at 139 Grenfell Boulevard, roll number 1000311600. It's located in the Old Tuxedo neighborhood. It's a two-story build, single-family dwelling built in 1935. Living area of 4336 square feet, has a full part area basement, has a finished basement, one full bathroom, 3 half bathrooms, 3 showers, has central air conditioning, has 3 fireplaces, has an attached multi-car garage, has a sunroom, and has a lot size of 14,995 square feet. It also has an external corner influence. The comps are all located actually in the Wellington Crescent neighborhood. I expanded out of the Old Tuxedo neighborhood because I couldn't find really good comps relative to the subject in the Old Tuxedo neighborhood. So I went to the Wellington Crescent neighborhood, which is a fairly similar area and kind of interchangeable if people were looking at this area of Old Tuxedo versus that area of the Wellington Crescent neighborhood. So they are all located in the Wellington Crescent neighborhood, all two-story builds, single-family dwelling, built between 1917 to 1929, living area between 3086 square feet to 4277 square feet. Comp 2 has the same full part basement, whereas Comp 1, 3, and 4 just have full basements. All of them do have finished basements, though. Comp 2 actually has the exact same bathroom count. The other ones do have some variability in their bathrooms. Comp 3 does not have central air conditioner. All the others do. And all of the properties do have fireplaces, but Comp 1 has 2, Comp 4 has 2, Comp 2 and 3 have 1. All the comps do have an attached multi-car garage except for Comp 3, which does not. It has the detached multi-car garage. And then comps 1 and 3 also have detached single car garages. There is an in-ground pool at Comp 4, and none of the comps have the sunroom. The lot sizes range between 9,008 square feet to 12,003 square feet. And Comp 4 has the same external corner influence as well as a light traffic influence being located on Wellington Crescent itself. The time adjusted sale prices range between 1,411,300 to 2,129,600. And the time adjusted sale prices per square foot range between 420.69 per square foot to 624.15 per square foot. There also was a subject sale prior to the reference date. The sale price was $1,525,000. Time adjusted, that is $1,799,500. The current assessed value is at $1,799,000 or $414.90 per square feet. And I believe that this value is well supported, particularly by the subject sale. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Remblong, have you any questions of the assessor?
Yes. So I guess first question is just to confirm. So in your opinion, during the assessment period, you don't believe that there are any sales of homes in Old Tuxedo that would be comparable to my property on Grenfell?
The ones that I saw were not significantly similar. The ones that were the most similar, I did kind of review your information that you provided there. So there was one at 129 Girton. It's similar, but it's a much smaller build and lot. And then the other ones, a lot of them were located in the area between Wellington Crescent and Kenaston, which typically has much smaller lots and not really the same style of builds. Most of those builds I would kind of expect to see more similar to the North River Heights area or the River Heights area in general.
Okay. So essentially, like the Girton property you mentioned, too small, and some of the other ones, the lot sizes are too different. And then the other question I had is I see in the comparables, the living area size ranges from, I guess, 3,086 square feet to 4,277. So I guess in particular for comps 3 and 4, your opinion is that houses that are about 1,200 square feet smaller than mine are comparable?
Yes, taking into consideration the differences between the properties, yes.
Okay. So I think I will save the rest for my segment of the, I guess, discussion.
Thank you. Ms. Nesbitt, have you any questions?
The sale, can I just ask about that? Was this an arm's length sale?
It was an MLS listed sale.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Colotruco, questions?
No, I don't have questions at this time. Thank you.
I have a question with respect to or some questions perhaps, with respect to the time adjusted sale price. I note that in your comp 1, comp 2, and comp 4, the time adjusted sale price from the 2022 sale dates actually decreased to give you the time adjusted sale price. That decrease isn't present in the time adjusted sale price from the subject sale to the time adjusted sale price. Can you offer an explanation for that? Is it just because of the timing from June 1st, 2020, whereas the others were into 2022?
Yeah.
Timeframe?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So what ended up happening in the market was there was an increase in the values, basically sometime into, I don't know the exact date, but somewhere I believe in 2022. And then at 2022 till April 1st of 2023, there was some decline in the market. So at the point of these sales, the 2022 sales, there would have been a slow decline for the values, which is why the time adjusted sale prices are actually lower than what the sale prices themselves are. Whereas if you're going back further, if you're going back to the 2021 and 2020 sales, there was that increase first and then the decrease. So while you had a long period of increase, then there was just a slight period of decrease, which resulted in still a higher value.
Thank you. That was my question. Mr. Remblong, your submission, please, and please, your submission.
Yeah. So I guess my initial evidence was using the sales data from my neighborhood, Old Tuxedo, but I did also take the time to look at homes outside the area when I saw the assessor's evidence. But in terms of comps, I would draw the board's attention to 103 Hansard Boulevard, which sold in the reference period. The home was built in 1927 versus my home, which was built in the 1930s. Living area 5,100 square feet, which is actually closer to my square footage than some of the assessor's comps. Sold for $1,425,000. And on a time adjusted basis, that sale price works out to $1,509,100, or a time adjusted sale price per square foot of $295.67. So I guess I'm a little confused as to how that property wasn't included. But when you factor in the, I guess, proposed assessment for my property is almost $415 a square foot. 103 Hansard is significantly less. And also, for those who might not be as familiar with the layout of Old Tuxedo, 103 Hansard is one block west of my property. So I'm on Grenfell. the next adjacent street is Hansard. So that's I would argue, comparable size house of comparable age. And it shows there's a dramatic drop in the actual, I'll call it market price for older homes in Old Tuxedo compared to what the assessor's using. Furthermore, given the, I guess, size disparity that the assessor's using, I would also bring up 210 Lamont Boulevard, which is also an Old Tuxedo, built in 1929, living areas 2,966 square feet. Its sale price was just over $1 million, and on a adjusted price per square foot basis, it works out to $343.46. Now, when I looked at these and the other sales in the area, I first looked at, well, what would happen if we applied the adjusted price per square foot of 103 Hansard to my property. And in that case, if we used a price per square foot of essentially $295, then my property should actually be assessed at $1,282,000. Alternatively, I did look up all of the older sales in Old Tuxedo and got a average price per square foot of $331. If we applied that average $331 price per square foot in Old Tuxedo to my property, we get a potential market comp of $1,435,000, which again, that's well below what the proposed assessment is. Now, I have other examples I can draw from outside Old Tuxedo. I can, in particular, mention 463 Park Boulevard East, which is in the neighborhood of Tuxedo. The property is 4,643 square feet, but that time adjusted sale price is $199.57 per square foot. So with all due respect to the picks that the assessor seems to have chosen, the actual time adjusted price per square foot for older homes in Old Tuxedo is, I would argue, nowhere near the $400, $500, $600 figures that he's using. And I'm identifying home sales that are much closer to my property. When I looked at the map, it looks like some of these comparables are close to 18 blocks away, versus 103 Hansard is literally 1 block from my house. So I'm not sure how the assessment department could determine that over a 2-year period, there was absolutely nothing in Old Tuxedo that they could use as a comparable property. But I'm at this point happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Thiessen, have you questions?
I do. So just to confirm, you did pay $1,525,000 on June 1st of 2020?
I did.
Okay. And related to the comparables that you've provided, are you aware that at least 3 of these are 1.5 story builds?
Well, so 103 Hansard, I'm seeing from the sales data, is a 2-story. 210 Lamont is listed as a 2-story. And 463 Park is also listed as a 2-story in the sales book that I got off of the city website.
Right. I'm just talking about the ones that you provide, like the full list that you provided in your brief.
Well, yes, some of them are not exactly 2-story, but were built before 1945, which is a similar vintage to my home.
Okay. And are you aware of the condition of the properties at the time of their sales?
In particular, 103 Hansard, yes, because I actually did look at that house when it was for sale. So I would argue, interior-wise, it's similar finishings to my house.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cole.
This is for I'd like to ask the assessor a question if I could.
Okay,
Do you know what the average increase was for the neighborhood, Mr. Thiessen?
I don't recall exactly. I don't recall exactly. I think it was 11%, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Thank you. And at the end of the day, Mr. Ong, Repalong, sorry, my apologies. You're seeking a value of how much today?
1,435,000. That's based on averaging the pre-World War II homes that sold in Old Tuxedo.
Now, with respect to that, did you average that entire page? Is that what you did, sir?
So I took the time adjusted sale price per square foot of those 12 properties. So looking at per square foot of house, what are these kinds of homes worth?
So you picked out the two-story ones, correct?
Well, I picked out all of the pre-1945 houses. So yes, I did include looks like there were
Story in that, okay.
Yeah.
All right, those are my questions.
Ms. Nesbitt, questions?
Yeah, yes, just a couple follow-up questions. Mr. Rimple, you were going a little speedy, too speedy for me to write down.
Oh, sorry.
When you were talking about your, no, that's fine, about the Hansard 103 Hansard. I'm trying to follow your notes at the bottom of the page here, and I can't quite follow them. And
Sure.
I can't zero in on the 103 Hansard line. So could you tell me again about what that sale was and your calculations?
Okay, so I'll try to be a little bit slower, but
No, that's okay. It's all the numbers at once. That's
okay.
it.
So,
Yeah.
103 Hansard, it sold for 1,425,000. The time adjusted sale price works to $1,509,100. So on a price per square foot basis, the adjusted price is $295.67. And that's significantly below the assessed amount per square foot for my property. But recognizing that was a one-off property, that's why I calculated the average using all of the pre-World War II properties, which got a higher price per square foot amount.
And could you give me that number again?
Yeah, the average of the 12 sales is $331.15 per square foot. And so to calculate the assessment amount I was looking for, I took those two price per square foot figures multiplied by the living area at 139 Grenfell.
Gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
I got those numbers. And that pre-World War II, that was for all of the properties on this sheet, a select number of properties?
So I looked specifically for properties that sold in Old Tuxedo where the year built was before 1945.
Okay.
Recognizing my house was built in the 1930s, and I do recognize there weren't a lot of larger homes of this vintage that sold. So this was, in my opinion, the best way to determine what the market average would be. As a, I guess, side note, when I looked at this, one of the issues in Old Tuxedo is in the sale period, there were 8 homes that were larger than 3,000 square feet, which sold, but 7 of the 8 were built after year 2000. So what I've been finding since moving here is that when an old house usually comes up for sale, quite often a builder will buy the home, tear it down and build something new. So the number of old homes in the neighborhood is shrinking. And the brand new homes, when they come up for sale, they're price per square foot is closer to $700 or $800 per square foot.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying those numbers for me.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
Mr. Remblong, I have some questions with respect to the analysis of the averages. First of all, with respect to your residence, built in 1935, but there's been some significant renovations have taken place before before you bought it. Kitchens were updated, the electrical's updated, bathrooms updated. Is that fair to say?
Yes. So I wouldn't object to. I see in the assessment brief it has the effective year built of 1980.
Right.
Right. So there's a blend of older and newer details within the house.
Now, the averages that you've taken with respect to those 12 properties, you focused or you selected as a filter the pre-World War II construction time. Is that fair to say? Did I understand you correctly?
Correct. And the reason why I made that choice was because just based off of the sales data book, it doesn't show the effective year built. So I'm not able to, I guess, prejudge the effective year of each individual property. But what it does show is that there's a wide disparity between the older built houses and ones that are newer built.
Right.
And I think what's also helping to drive up the house price in this area is each time one of those new houses is built and sells for 700, 800 a square foot, that's going to bring up the average, especially when they're replacing an old house that got sold to a builder for $200-300 a square foot.
And the houses that you've used as average, you haven't inspected any of those houses, that you don't know what kind of renovations were done with those prior to the sale date?
Well, the only one I went in person was 103 Hansard, but no, I didn't inspect visually the other houses.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything else. Mr. Thiessen, do you have any need of summary?
Yeah, I'll just give something quick. I just wanted to say that I do believe the value is very well supported, particularly by the subject sale with the time adjusted sale price, as well as comp one being a very good comparable here for the property. And I do believe that the value is well supported. Thank you.
Mr. Remblong, do you have any summary to provide us?
Yes. So my respectful argument is that we have to look at sales activity in the assessment area. I don't think it's reasonable to look at previous purchase of the home and ignore the actual activity in Old Tuxedo. And using this activity in Old Tuxedo, in particular 103 Hansard, that $414 square foot assessment amount grossly overvalues my home. And I think it's sets a dangerous precedence if the assessment department is able to argue that a home sale within a block of a homeowner can just be ignored. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Then we'll conclude this matter. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Remblong. You will be notified of our decision by a registered mail shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I think the next one, Mr. Chair, we do have a no-show, I believe.
812 Wicklow Street is, no one has checked in or provided any information as yet?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, we'll come back to that then and move over to 1010 Riviera Crescent.
That one actually had a 15-1 withdrawal.
Oh, it's been withdrawn?
Thank you.
Okay, then perhaps what we'll do is have a quick in-camera discussion about 812 Wicklow Street. So if we can perhaps have the Mr. Assessor just put aside for a moment and go out on camera. Of course. Thank you. Thank you. We'll go back on the record. Thank you. We've had an opportunity to discuss the non-appearance of the applicant in this place, Kristen Brown and Jacques Roulette. Under the circumstances, we are going to hear the evidence of the Assessment and Taxation Department, and then we will deliberate and provide our reasons subsequent to that. So, Mr. Thiessen, if you could please present your brief with respect to 812 Wicklow Street.
Absolutely, thank you. So the subject property is located at 812 Wicklow Street, roll number 030-816-23000. It's located in the Crescent Park neighborhood. It's a one-story build, single-family dwelling built in 1953, 1194 square feet of living area, full basement that is finished, has a full bathroom and a half bathroom, has central air conditioning, and has a detached single-car garage with a lot size of 5896 square feet. All the comparables are laid out on the comparable sheet that I have provided. They are all located in the Crescent Park neighborhood, and the time adjusted sale price for those is between $365,400 to $425,700. Time adjusted sale price per square foot is $296.83 to $362.91. I will note that the owner actually did send photos of the property to the department during the residential preview program, showing that the home is quite dated and showing some issues. The issues included that the flooring in the basement is very uneven and there is some minor cracking on the main floor ceiling, as well as a deteriorated garage. After reviewing this information, the value was dropped from the initial $394,000 to the current $359,000 that we have it at, just to reflect the condition relative to the comparables. If these conditions were not present, the value would be supported at the higher value and possibly even higher than that. But based off of the overall condition at current, the current value at $359,000, I believe, is supported, which would be $300.67 per square foot. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nesbitt, do you have any questions? Oh, you're muted.
Nope. No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Colatrudlio.
No questions, thank you.
I just have one question. Looking at the map, comp 3 and the sizes, comp 3 123 Rutten Bay is a block away from the subject residence, subject property.
Right.
Roughly. And it's at $296.83 a square foot, so just under $4 less per square foot. Do you know what the condition of comp 3?
I can have it with me here, so just give me one moment. They're all in relatively similar condition. They just don't have the deficiencies that the property subject property does. Okay. However, with comp 3, it also has the medium traffic influence, so that is a negative against it. As well as being the external corner. So that's also another negative against it.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any further, anything further. Do you see the need for a summary here, Mr. Guilford?
I do not, thank you.
And we will conclude that matter as well. And I believe that having heard all of the items scheduled, this hearing can now be adjourned and we will begin deliberating.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Neeson, for your presentations and your time.
Thank you.
Great.